Welcome to
The Seal
okay.
and Alex podcast.
Welcome back to episode 11. So we're gonna record one more, episode 12. It's the way we've closed out the last 2 seasons, and we're gonna take a short break. We did. Well, no, actually, I'll take that back. We did 14 episodes, I think.
You went straight to episode 12. We're not even done with episode 11.
Well, I'm just letting people what to telling them what to look forward to.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I realized I've been consuming way too much caffeine, and I just hit a point where I'm like on speed with caffeine, and I need to like take it back. Take it back now. So I'm gonna
One hop this time. Woo! Right foot, 2 steps. Doom, doom. Left 2 steps. Doom, doom. Now, screw. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Honestly,
Alex sucks at lyrics and songs.
I honestly forgot what I was doing. I don't normally do this, and if you're still listening after this, we love you and appreciate you.
And you'll enjoy the YouTube even more. I've been working on getting our YouTubes up there. We've missed a lot of episodes. But before Alex cut me off, what I was trying to say was, this is episode 11. There will be episode 12 next Monday. We're going to probably take a 2 to 4 week break. I don't know just yet. Follow us on our Instagrams. I will post when we will post the next episode on there, because we take off for our travels. This is our last full week coming up. We finished this week, and on Sunday is our last full week here, and then we're out of here. So we're going to need some time to adjust to travels, find our rhythm, figure out when we're going to record, and then that will be put out there.
Today's episode is actually a really cool, I use the word actually. You always, as a speaker, you don't want to say actually. So
Actually,
today's episode is a really interesting one. We had a friend of ours, and we're not going to go into detail, but we had a friend of ours ask for some advice. And we started talking about culture. So
what is culture?
We're going to talk about culture today, because that is near and dear to our heart.
Yes. So we kind of already had this conversation. And the reason I say that is culture is tied into leadership. It's tied into your values. It's tied into your mission statement. And I can't remember what episode it was, but a few episodes ago. And I mean, we've talked about this in more than just one episode. We've talked about how families need to have those things, right? You have to have your mission statement as a family, your values. All of that determines your culture. Coming back to this bigger conversation, it's like the big umbrella is culture, and everything, all these other things that we're talking about fall under that. At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to know is the best companies that are out there, well-functioning companies that are out there, have a sustained, identified culture, vision, values. And the reason why I'm saying that is, why are we not bringing that back
into
to our families?
And that's the thing. Everyone has a culture. They don't have awareness around it. So the same thing that we talked about, systems. Everybody has a system. It's just not everybody has awareness around the system. And then what happens is you hit these hard points and you're like, why is this happening? This isn't what I'm teaching them. How is this going on? And that's why it's important, if you have all of this defined, because you want to anchor your decisions, your habits, the things that you're doing every day back to these values, back to this mission statement, right? It's what brings the full picture into play. So families who don't have this, businesses, whatever it is, the culture exists in everything we do, not just your home. It's also if you're running a business, if your friendships, between your relationships, all of it, there's a certain culture around that. And you can do it by default, right? You don't know, you're just like going about it, whatever whatever happens, or you have extreme awareness and you're choosing what it becomes. So for us and our family, we've already clarified what our mission statement is, what our values are, and that then determines the culture that is being lived within our walls. It's the same reason why there's certain people or activities or things that we won't allow our kids to participate in because we don't agree with the culture. And for us, culture is something that is extremely influential, even as an adult. If you start hanging out with 5 people who are constantly negative, all they do is complain about their life, guess what you're going to start doing before you know it? you're going to join in on the fun and you're going to start complaining too about your life, and all you're focused on is the negative and how everything's falling apart. But now envision if you have 5 people who are talking about their goals and methods, and it's not that you don't talk about problems. It's not about ignoring your problems, but it's about being solution based. If you only talk about problems for the sake of complaining, you're going nowhere. It's the hamster wheel that never stops spinning. But now if you say, you know what? This is happening in my relationship, or this is happening in my business, or this is happening with my children. How do we move forward from this? That's a completely different conversation.
And I think culture is actually required. I said it again, actually. How crazy is that? Culture requires courage. And what I mean by that is when we choose to identify what kind of culture we are cultivating in our family, it requires us to stand up for something.
Yep.
And people don't like that because I say people don't like that, but when you make that decision, you are gonna get flack from people that don't align with your views or your standards. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in our own family, when we've identified the culture and the vision and the mission, I know it sounds
People
like a
fight
business.
back.
That not people fight back, and friends that we have are asking us why can our kids not stay the night, or why can't this happen or that happen, and it requires us to stand up for what we really want. So there's the courage piece. And then there's also this other side of being seen
Yeah.
and standing in your power and talking about it, and all eyes are on
So
you.
that's the leadership aspect, is if you are going to implement any type of culture and you're this clear on it, it takes leadership. And leadership means being the person who says the things, does the things, hold the boundaries that other people might have an issue with or not be in agreement with. And it doesn't mean that it has to happen in a way that is rude or that you're talking down to people, but it's about holding that boundary. Like, look, this is where I'm at. These are my values. And this is how things are going to run from this moment on.
The thought that I had as well, Jasil said earlier that culture is influential as well. If we do not set a culture for our family, and I'm using us as example, but this could be you if you're listening. If you don't set a culture for your family, it's very easy for your children to be influenced by other people's culture
Yeah.
and other views and etc. And it goes back to a book that I read with his. It's a Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he says people. He uses the term men, but I can just generalize this. People do things based off of two things that not within their purpose. They do what they're told. So it's called totalitarianism. Someone suggests something and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. You know what? We're going to do it. Or conformism. They see the trends that are happening around them and they decide to just follow the trend. And that's the piece that we have to, as families, um, freedom families, is get very intentional on the culture, which then sets the tone and the standard within the family.
Yeah. And when people ask me, would I put my kids in school, or what's the school that I would consider, is not, once again, program wise, most schools here have incredible programs. Their curriculum looks amazing. For me, is I have been so intentional about the culture in my family. I've been so clear about this for a long, long time, that when I look at the schools, I am not evaluating them from their curriculum. I am evaluating them from a culture standpoint. And I'm sorry to say, there has yet to be a program or a school that meets my standard. My standard is very high. And I know that. And I am okay with that because
And the thing that I like about this is if you don't have a culture as a
that's
school or as a family, you actually do have a
no,
culture.
no, they do, but that's what I'm saying. They don't have intentionality
Yes.
behind it. That's what I'm saying. There's no school that I have met here in this area or anywhere we've gone that meets my standard of what I want for my kids. And it's like, once again, when you look at them, like, okay, give me your mission statement. What are your values? Okay, great. Same thing with our family. Let's say you write that, you put it on a wall. Great. Now, are you implementing it? How are you bringing it back into the everyday? Are you making decisions based on that? Are you treating your children based on that? If you're not, then you're not creating the culture. You're not actually living to those values or mission statements. It's just a paper on the wall. And same thing with companies, right? The companies who have become extremely successful and known for what they're good at is because whatever it is that they decided, their values, their culture has always come back to that. And like I was studying the Marriott and why the Marriott hotels became so big. And for them, it was about their employees treating their employees a certain way. It was about giving back to their employees in a way that they felt so safe and secure in their jobs that then they were able to treat their customers that same way. And that has been like why Marriott has been able to come as far as they have. It wasn't like, oh, we're stuck to the numbers. We need to make more money. That wasn't it. So whatever it is, I do treat my family, I feel like a company, like a business. I have standard operating procedures. I have a mission statement. We have values, and I am extremely aware of the culture. And when things are going wrong in the culture, the number one mistake that you can do and the worst mistake you can do is to point to your children and those around you and say, why aren't you guys doing what I say? Why aren't you guys following the things that we spoke about? Because the first person that you look at is the boss, it's the leader, it's the person in position, because it is your job to make sure that that culture is being streamlined downwards.
Hey, do you hear that? Culture is an inside job. And what I mean by that is when we're not satisfied with the culture and say, I talk about our family. If we're not satisfied, it starts with us.
Yeah.
And it's about getting clear on where we're out of alignment with the culture in regards to are we living it or are we just speaking it? Because that's where I was going earlier is that
Yeah.
culture is if it's there's no consciousness around it or intentionality around it, it manifests in a different way and it causes chaos. And then what happens is we want to shame and we want to blame and we want to source outwards rather than looking internally. And we can only go as far, we can only push our kids or our employees or people that we work with only as far as we have been willing to go
Ourselves. It's
ourselves.
internal work before it's external work. And that's another big part that parents need to realize is you can't ask your kids to do something that you're not capable of doing. Same thing in business. You can't ask your employees to do something that you're not capable of doing. And it doesn't mean that you should have to do that. As a leader, our job is to keep the big picture and vision. I'm not talking about like, okay, well, you should be able to do all the daily tasks that your employee also does, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking more like emotionally, internal, mentally, like within yourself. If you are asking your employees to stop nitpicking, to stop arguing, to work together as a team, same thing with your kids, but you are not able to show that and you don't have the emotional intelligence to carry those conversations, there's no way that the people under you are going to be able to do that either because that's not what they've learned. Right? So it starts within yourself. That's the number one job is take care of it within yourself, have the right tools to be able to hold that. And then you're able to raise the standards for those around you and they can meet you in those places. But first you have to be the one to hold that standard.
I love that. We're also this is all applicable to family living. Yeah, we're proof of it, and we're refining. These things can be refined too. I really love this concept by the Conscious Leadership Group, and if you've listened to us over the years,
I was
you
going to bring them in.
you realize that this group has been very integral into our own marriage and how we've navigated
I
some of
mean,
the
we've talked about the conscious leadership group since season one back in 2022.
yeah, but the where I was going with this is they have this chapter about integrity. And one of the big things about personal integrity is that our thoughts match our words match our actions, and our actions match our feelings, right? So we're in integrity of all four of those. And a lot of times, once again, going back to the culture thing, and maybe I'm a little redundant, is that what you put on a piece of paper, is it what you're doing?
Yeah.
Is it what you're feeling?
Is it what you're
Is
thinking?
it what you're thinking? And when those four things align, then you can really identify that, hey, I'm in integrity of who I am as a person. The whatever is in my leadership realm. So if it's a school or if it's a family or if it's
A
a
business.
business, I can now move from a authentic place.
Yep.
And that's the piece. So many people move from an inauthentic place because we have been conditioned to keep our own voices quiet for the most part at a young age. If do you see a 2-year-old who's on an airplane who's talking and having a good time, right? And what do you hear? Shh, by the parents. Or it could be it could be another example of when you're a little kid and you're talking and your parents are like, "Hey, this is grown up talk." It's like silencing your voice. And so over the years, the story that we have created is that we're safe when we're quiet. And that's the big piece once again about culture, is that it requires courage to look into these things, to understand what it is that you want in the world, your vision, your mission, your values, and communicating that and being your authentic self.
Yeah, I the piece that I'm thinking about as you're saying all this for me is back to leadership of being able to lead yourself. So many people are in the positions of leading others, right? We're parents, we're business owners, we're this, we're that. And if you haven't sat down with yourself and identified what do you want from life? What are your values? What is your mission statement? Where are you going a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Then it's going to be very difficult to then do that for those around you if that is your job or if you're in a position of doing that. You first have to learn how to lead yourself, lead those around you, so then you can be able to grow to this place of saying, you know what, now I can lead my business this way. Now I can lead all my employees or whatever it is in this way. It first starts with yourself. It's not a quick fix, it's not a quick answer. Unfortunately, it rarely ever is, and I love the conscious leadership group work because they give you the tools, they give you the resources, the worksheets, the scripts. Yes, Leomar agrees. And they give you all these things to be able to get to this, to knowing these things and identifying these things within yourself. And like Alex said, we've been using them for so many years, is what has helped us be able to have these conversations and be in 100% responsibility for what our part is in this all within our family, within ourselves, as we grow our businesses and everything we do.
And I want to say something because it's coming up for me right now. I don't know if, I mean, I feel like it applies, but when I think about the culture work that we're talking about, I think about the lens of which we view this. And what I mean by that, I think we all can agree, or I will assume that we can agree that what you focus on expands. I'm sure you've heard that term before. And so
Yeah.
when you focus on this from a lens of fear and negativity and control,
Yeah.
you're going to get a different perspective on it. But if you see it from a different lens of love, with an open heart, with this connection, with trust, with relational aspects to things, then you will see it in a positive light. And that's the piece when I think about just implementing this, it's about implementing it in a positive way. I have a master's, and I say this because it reminds me of a paper that I had to write. I have a master's in transformational leadership. And one of the things that we dove into was change management. And so when companies, they have this problem, they need to create some type of change. Well, part of this change requires to incorporate and garner feedback to the people in the company. And so that can relate to families as well. We have to get the family's feedback. But giving ownership and giving them a piece of the process to help implement this is what really helps lasting change when we make change. So communicating it down to the levels and constantly communicating this, and then having, for instance, if it's a business, if it's a school, if it's a family, having those people that you're communicating it to teach it, be a part of it, get creative, like make it fun, hold each other accountable. Because what's even stronger than anything, and I know I'm teaching a little bit here, but what's even stronger than anything is peer-to-peer accountability. Like when we're in a group of our peers and someone calls me out on my BS, oh, okay, man, why am I thinking that way? Or How can I take a
And
step
you
forward?
know what? I have a good example of this because we were talking about this with the whole team issue that we were having, that we pulled the boys out of the activity because we didn't agree with this. And both of us started talking how back in the military, in boot camp, we started remembering like how did they, how do they do that, right? How do they instill this culture of accountability and stuff in the military? Well, for the first like 3 weeks of training, everyone gets treated exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're perfect every single day, every single minute, and you did nothing wrong. If the person next to you fucked up, you fucked up too. And I'm not saying that, it's the best way to go about it and the military does everything right. That's not my point here. My point is, especially like when it comes to teams, if you really want to get people in this mindset of we're all one and we have to work together, then there has to be at some point where everyone gets treated the same. And it's because as long as you're treating the individual is just going to keep trying to call that attention, which that's another point I want to get to if I forget on why do children do bad things? Why do they want that attention? That's another great point. But anyhow, um, you have to get everyone to the point to realize, like, hey, when you mess up, I also have to do it. When I mess up, you also have to pay for it. So then the kids amongst themselves are going to correct each other, are going to police each other without you. Because let's be real, if you have 60 children or 30 children, you can't know and see what every single person is doing. But if you start creating a culture of like, hey, we all hold each other to this certain standard, they're going to start doing it themselves, right? Let's say it's bullying. If they see someone bullying each other, they're gonna be like, hey, stop doing that. I don't want to run laps, right? Or I don't want to I don't want to have to do push-ups, or hey, I don't want to sit out the next game. Because now you're teaching your teen, like this goes for everyone. It's not just when one person messes up. And it's the same thing within a household, is like bringing it back to those values on why do we have these values? What does this mean? And what happens when those values are broken? Like that has to be clear across the like it has to be clear across your home or wherever you are, whatever it is, your business, whatever it is, that everybody understands like this is where we stand. When these agreements are broken, this is the consequence, right? This is what happens. And that doesn't mean a punishment, but sometimes it's a natural consequence. You hurt that person's feelings, right? Now that person doesn't want to help you with something. Now that person doesn't want to do what you're saying because you violated their trust. And that's what I mean by consequence. But you have to have the conversation, because although that's what happened, children don't always connect those dots. So like, hey, what did you notice that happened when this happened? Right? How did your sibling react? What did you see them feel? And then asking the other person, like, hey, do you want to tell them the way you feel right now? Like what happened when, they violated your trust, so they didn't do the thing you wanted. And that's how you get children to start having awareness of these things. Did you have?
No, I'll just transition to the next thing.
Yeah.
Just mentioned about attention with kids. I wanted to share a story that I was coaching a man years ago, and he had come to me and he had just said, "Hey, Alex, my daughter is doing things. She's skipping school. She's doing things behind my back. I've caught her doing some things, and I don't know what to do. I'm angry. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I feel like I'm about to lose control." And so I ask him. I want him to analyze his day on when does he give her attention? And he says,
This
"Well,
is a teenager we're talking
this is
about.
a teenager." And he says, "Well, I when I correct her, when I'm screaming at her or telling her that she can't do this, or when I take things away, I'm very that's the only time that I've been giving her attention. I'm very aggressive." So I sit with it I just let the silence do the work. And I say, "I see you. Now, how often are you giving her positive attention?" And he starts crying. And he says, "I haven't." And that's the thing. We don't know the difference between positive and negative attention.
Children don't.
Children, excuse me, thank you. Children don't know the difference between positive and negative attention. They just know that we're actually giving them attention. That we're eyes on them. They got our focus. Boom. Now let me bask in it. So I'm going to give this back to you. I'm not putting you in that story, but I would encourage you and I would challenge you to think about what type of attention are you giving your children throughout the day? Is it always negative? Is it correcting? Is it wanting them to be the young person that you want them to be? Or are you giving that positive attention, connecting from the heart, giving them words of affirmation, loving on them just because? And that's the piece with, especially in families, that's the piece of wanting to get the culture shifted, is to be able to deliver this in a loving way. Doesn't always have to be from a fear based or correcting someone because they're not doing what you're asking of them. It's slight auto suggestion.
Yeah. There's a I have a memory, and this happened a few months ago. We were all sitting around the dinner table, and I don't know what happened, but the kids all just started nitpicking at each other. Like, I'm talking about, well, you do this, and well, I did that because you did, and they all just started picking at each other. And I was like, okay, stop, immediate stop. Like, we're not gonna sit here, all of us, picking at each other, telling what we don't like about each other, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what your punishment is? I was like, your punishment is now you're gonna tell me 3 things you love about each sibling. And they all looked at me like, what? But by the second person, we're all smiling. We're all laughing. Everyone's enjoying it. And that's the thing that we have to bring it back to. When your children are doing these negative things, is not, you know what, you're punished, you're grounded, go to your room, get away from everyone. Sometimes you just have to remind them, like, look, this is a family. We love each other. We actually do love things about one another. It's the same thing with your spouse. If you're just focused on all the things that you hate about your husband, he leaves his socks on his floor, he doesn't clean his underwear, he leaves spit all over
This
the
is
sink.
not me.
This is
I'm dead
not.
like, please, can we? You're using examples that make them think that this is me.
I didn't say it was you. People can take it however they
Oh
want.
my.
He leaves his cups all over the place. He,
Okay,
you
now
know,
that's more like me, like
okay.
leaving a coffee
But I'm
mug
not
and a
talking
water.
about you. I'm just saying things, random things. Like,
I'm
why?
just
What?
messing with
You know what? What you do is leave your used Q-tips everywhere. No, I'm kidding. He does not do. Alex is like, I quit this podcast.
Yo.
All right. So back to the point. If you're only focused on the negative things that your husband is doing or your partner is doing, then you're just gonna see more of that. Is what Alex was saying earlier, like Batari's box. You're gonna keep find your brain is gonna want to find reasons to validate you. Like, hey, it's just like AI. AI just validates whatever you tell it to. It's like, yep, you're right. So don't be that person, or be the person who validates positive things. And it's the same thing for your children. If you want your children to focus on positive things, then it has to be part of the everyday culture in your family. And you have to bring awareness to it. And no one is perfect. We're not talking from a place of like, yeah, we're perfect. That's all we do. Our kids are normal kids. Our kids sometimes speak disrespectfully to each other. Our kids sometimes pick on each other. They do all the things that regular
We
kids do.
sometimes yell at our kids too.
Yes,
It's not like it's not.
we are not perfect parents. If you're our neighbors, you probably have heard us yelling at our kids. Like, it's part of life. But what we're saying is, like, be more aware and try to work towards it. And like, one thing that we do practice is that when we mess up, we apologize to our kids. Like, hey, what I did yesterday, what I did over there, like, I'm sorry, I lost my shit. That's not what I meant to do. Blah, blah, blah. And like, show them that you're human. Show them that you make mistakes, right? The point here is to not make it a habit. It's not something that you're going to continuously keep doing and doing and doing and doing. At some point, we have to break those cycles.
Two things that came up to me, and I just want to validate you here, is my upcoming book.
You're my AI.
My upcoming book, Reprogramming Pain. I talk about the default setting, and in the default setting, the stories, the emotions, the feelings, right? These beliefs that we have that come up from situations in our life, they look for evidence, and when they see that evidence, they make it true, and then it becomes an identity in the world. So we have to, that's why it's so important to be able to have control of how we respond to the thoughts that come up in our mind, which is for another thing. And then the other thing that I was going to say,
What was it? You completely forgot.
I got so invested in that one that I forgot the other one. Oh, man.
So one thing listeners can do this week to examine the culture they're currently creating.
Say that one more time.
Wha-
You were like a little
One
slurred.
thing that listeners can do this week to bring awareness to the culture that they are creating, to examine it within their house, within their business, within the people that they hang around. What happens when somebody makes a mistake?
I would
What
observe.
happened? Yeah,
I was
just take
I
notes.
wasn't trying to jump into filling that. I would observe and see where you are showing up out of where you're taking a step forward that doesn't feel in alignment. Like, you can feel that within the body, the thoughts that come up and how you show up, because the culture, once again, it's an inside job. It starts with you. So when you identify where you're out of integrity and how you want to be in integrity, what that looks like for you, then you can start to have that conversation if you're married with your spouse. Hey, this is the kind of culture that I want to create for our family.
Yeah.
So the one thing is observe. Observe where you feel out of alignment. Maybe someone does something and you lunge, like she
I
said.
was going to give a quick example. Like for me, my children becoming self sufficient has been a huge part of the way I've raised them. If I know that that is my goal, right? And I'm like, this is the culture I'm trying to create, but I'm doing everything for them. I fold their clothes, I clean up after them, I tell them what to do, I don't give them any independence, no way of making choices. I tell them, no, that I want you to do it this way, no, not that. Am I actually doing that? And I can have that written down, I can have it up on a wall, but if I'm not actually doing that day to day, then that is not the culture I'm creating. So I think that Alex said the first step is to read whatever it is, or and you haven't created it, please come on, sit down, create it, have your values, have your mission statement, know what is the culture that you're striving to have within your home, within your business, within yourself. And then ask yourself honestly, nobody else has to see this. You can write it down in your private notebook, burn it after you write it, whatever you need to do. In the past 30 days, where have I actually done this? And then be honest, where have I not done this? Right? Because when you bring awareness into those habits, into the things that sometimes we just do by default, we don't even know we're doing it. It then helps us be like, oh, okay, this is what I have to change for me to be able to move in this direction. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to leave you guys with.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my exact wordage so I'm very clear. The thing for culture is create it if you don't have one, and then observe where you're out of alignment with the culture that you said. Just using the example Jasil just said, observe where you're not showing up in the way that you want to with mission, vision, values, culture.
All right, guys. Leomon, close us out. See you next week, folks.
Bye.